Welcome to the first session of Discovering Your Purpose. Thank you for deciding to join this course. I know you're going to really enjoy it. These 3 video sessions are designed for you to watch alongside this workshop book, which is extra notes and workshop assignments that I know you'll enjoy completing. If you're doing this in a group, I suggest that you also add a 4th session at the end, simply so that you can share your results with others and discuss some possibilities of ministry that you might like to get involved in that will really help you discover your sweet spot that God created you for. Well, let's kick off session 1 of Discovering Your God-Given Purpose in Life. I want to take a few moments in session 1 to, as clearly as possible, define the purpose that God created each one of us for. God creates each one of us for a purpose. In fact, God doesn't create anything without a purpose in mind. God creates us in His image and likeness, first of all for a relationship with Him. But more than that, He created us for a relationship with Him for a reason, for a purpose, a calling, a mission in life, a vocation to live for. And that has never changed. If you don't realize and you don't discover your purpose in life that God created you for, then I believe actually life on earth becomes pointless, regardless of what else you achieved. I actually believe finding your God-given purpose in life is the key to living a fulfilling life. The Bible says that every one of us are created in His image and likeness for a special and a unique purpose. We are designed to bring God glory and to make a difference in this world for His kingdom's sake. God's original mandate for Adam and Eve in the Bible still applies to each one of us today. In fact, the name Adam, it means mankind, and the name Eve, interestingly, means life giver. So God creates mankind and life giver to reflect His image and His likeness in all of the world, and to bring God glory through what they did. Here's what God said to them way back in the beginning. Genesis 1 and verse 28. It says this, that God started by blessing them. He said, He blessed them and He said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it and have dominion over every living thing on the earth. That's our original mandate. It's our original purpose, and it's still our purpose today. There are 4 interesting words in that verse, and I want to just quickly mention each one of them and explain them a little bit. First of all, multiply. Well, multiply means what we think it really means. It means to have children who have children, and to keep having children so that eventually the whole earth will be filled with created beings who reflect God's image and likeness. Multiply. The second word, be fruitful, actually has nothing to do with having children, but rather it's about our contribution to making the world around us a better place. God called us to be fruitful, to be productive. It's a word that actually refers to strength and capacity and ability. The third word is subdue. It's an unusual word to be in this context. It's actually a military term which means to bring under control. It actually indicates that something is out of control in the world that God's children, made in His image and likeness, would have to bring into control. It becomes apparent if you read the story that Satan already had influence over parts of the earth outside of the perfect garden. Therefore, Adam and Eve and their descendants would need to subdue Satan's influence over the earth and bring it under the control of God's godly influence, so that eventually, as Adam and Eve had children and their children had children, the whole earth would reflect the glory and the image of God. And fourthly, dominion. It simply means to exercise the power and delegated authority that God has given us to rule and reign and take care of this earth in a way that would honour God. So God creates us, in summary, in His image and His likeness for a relationship with Him. He placed us on earth to govern it and to take care of it in a way that would represent Him and reflect His image on earth. To do this, we will have to subdue the effect and the influence of Satan's evil agenda over the world. And he gave us his authority to do that. Well, we all know what happened. Instead of staying connected to God and worshipping him and reflecting his image on the earth, Adam and Eve gave their allegiance to Satan, and in doing so handed their authority to rule and govern the world over to him, who in turn, Satan influenced the world with his destructive agenda rather than us influencing the world. He's been doing it ever since. The whole story of the Old Testament is summarized in the fact that sometimes mankind achieved their God-given purpose, but more often than not, they failed to achieve it. And in the end, they became slaves to the very thing that they were meant to subdue and have victory over us. Fast forward a few thousand years, and Jesus, the Son of God, comes to earth. The Bible says that Jesus lived a perfect life, not because he didn't do anything morally wrong. He didn't do anything morally wrong, but that's not the reason he lived a perfect life. The Bible says he lived a perfect life in that he perfectly reflected the image and the likeness of God. He reflected perfectly what a human being in right relationship with God is designed to do. He hit the mark that we were created to hit and missed, even down to the fact of subduing and overcoming the enemy. John writes about Jesus in 1 John 3 and 8 and says this: the Son of God, Jesus, came to destroy the works of the devil. Jesus modeled for us what our mission is on earth. What Jesus did in his physical body, he actually calls us to continue as his spiritual body on earth. He turned to his disciples and said this: in the same way that you gave me a mission on earth, God, I'm giving my disciples a mission on earth as well. We are not just saved to fill in time until we get safely to heaven. God saved each one of us for a purpose. He designed us to make a difference with our lives right here on earth, right now. He doesn't want us to escape earth. He wants us to reshape earth. Here's what you need to understand about the mission that Jesus has given us, to be Jesus with skin on. It actually has two parts to it. It has a shared part and a specific part. Let me explain. The shared part of your mission is the bit that we've just talked about. It's reflecting the image and the likeness of God on the earth by the way that we live and act, by the way that we respond to the circumstances that we're in, by the way we love God and love others, by the way we just act and live in every day, every way. And a key part of that is to be involved in working against the influence and the impact of Satan's influence in our world in every way. The specific part of our ministry is actually customized to each one of us personally. It's our personal mission that nobody else has. Nobody else can fulfill it. We are designed in a unique way to fulfill it. Our specific mission in life is actually more tied up to our unique personality and our makeup as a person. We have, certain things that God has just gifted us with that are a sweet spot that we love doing. And God designed us to actually find meaning and purpose in life in a way that uniquely fulfills us. We are being fully human when we live life the way God intended. God has given each one of us abilities and interests and talents and gifts, personalities and different life experiences. And by identifying these and understanding each one of these factors, we can discover God's specific purpose for each one of us. Rick Warren from Saddleback Church uses a simple little acrostic of SHAPE to explain how God has wired us for mission. These 5 letters, 5 elements, help us identify a specific personal mission in life. Starts with S, which is for spiritual gifts. We ask the question, what am I gifted at? H is for heart. What passions do I have? A is for abilities. What do I naturally do well? What am I good at? P is for personality. How am I wired? E is for experiences. Where have I been? What have I learned? What have I been through? When you put all of these 5 things together, you start to get some clues about the specific purpose or mission that God has called you to. So let's start with the first one in our first session, spiritual gifts. On page 3 of your workshop manual, it talks about discovering your spiritual gifts and covers topics like understanding what spiritual gifts are. It also covers what are spiritual gifts. Why does God give us spiritual gifts? What's the purpose for them? And it teaches us how to unwrap our spiritual gifts. I know you'll enjoy reading the material and working through it. After you've read this section, turn to page 8 in this manual and begin this journey, this lab of discovery about what spiritual gifts you have. On page 8 and 9 of the manual, it lists 72 different questions and asks you to rate them 1 to 3. 1 is almost never, 2 is sometimes, and 3 is almost always. So here's the first question. I like organising services and events. If you sort of think, sometimes I like doing that, but not very often, then put a 2. But if you say, that's me, always, I love organising services and events, then put a 3 beside that question. And then you transfer the answers to that sheet to page 10, and that will give you a full view of the things the gifts that you really enjoy and are good at. And then it tells you on page 10 to turn to the yellow section at the end of your manual, where you transfer all of the learning that you've learned through that session into what's called your shape profile file. And over the next 3 weeks, you will build up a profile of where your sweet spot that God called you to work in is. I know you'll enjoy this journey as you discover different things and work out to finally find out the purpose that God created you for. Thank you for joining in.